Hey everyone, Spider-Man 1991 here, and today we are less than a year away from Captain America Civil War, and from what the cast list says is going to be a big one. Almost every hero in the Marvel U has been included except for Thor, Quicksilver, and the Hulk, and and also Spider-Man's going to be appearing, and this will apparently, and like the title suggests, this will lead to a fracturing among the Marvel heroes. And in this video, I'm going to give you some story recommendations that you can check out before the movie comes out. The first story I recommend you check out is pretty obvious: the actual Marvel miniseries Civil War. Pretty much the plot of the story is that when the then current incarnation of the New Warriors fights a group of supervillains, it ends in a disaster that results in the destruction of a large area of Stamford, Connecticut. And after that, all superheroes are pretty much getting a bad rep. The government finally pushes forward with the Superhuman Registration Act, which requires all people with superpowers, not just mutants, but everyone who has powers to either register their name and their powers with S.H.I.E.L.D. and also if they want to continue being a superhero, they have to officially work with S.H.I.E.L.D. in order to continue that. And with this, the entire Marvel heroes are officially split into two halves. There is the pro-registration half that's led by Iron Man, and the anti-registration half that's led by Captain America. Now the whole big thing that people were talking about with this series, though, was the secret identity issue, because everyone's identity would become public. And one of the biggest things that happened in this was the unmasking of Spider-Man. However, though, Marvel producer Kevin Feige has stated that the movie isn't really going to focus so much on the secret identity aspect, since in the Marvel movies, heroes' identities being public aren't really an issue, but it will focus on the accountability of this, and I think that's a good idea. A lot of stuff does happen in this story arc. We've got heroes versus heroes. We also find out that Tony Stark had a clone of Thor made. I don't think that part's going to be adapted in the movie, unfortunately, but this was overall a very terrific story. I definitely recommend you pick this up. It's a very clever story because there really is no actual villain in this story arc. I mean, it's really hard to say because both sides do make fair points, but it's really up to the reader to decide who's right and who's wrong based on their own personal beliefs. So I think anyone could, some people who could read this will probably be on Iron Man's side. Some people will read this and probably be on Captain America's side. So honestly, just because of getting that debate, I think it definitely makes the story arc memorable and is definitely a must-have, and I can understand why they would use this for their next movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Okay, the next story I'm going to recommend is kind of a spoiler for the Civil War miniseries, because it is one of the biggest results of the Civil War. Death of Captain America. This is the paperback complete edition. There's also an omnibus edition, which I believe collects the same stuff in here, but I really recommend you get the complete collection, because it is definitely because originally when it was printed in paperback, there was about 2 to 3 volumes, so this way you can get it all in one book. Okay, so like I said, this was one of the biggest fallouts of Civil War, because immediately after Civil War ends, Captain America got arrested, surrendered himself to the police, and when he was being brought to trial, he is assassinated by Crossbones and also shot by a brainwashed Sharon Carter, and and he dies, and then eventually Bucky picks up the Captain America mantle and the shield to go after Steve's killers, who are revealed to be Dr. Faustus and the Red Skull. Alright. Now, why do I recommend... Now, do I think Captain America is going to die in Civil War? No, I don't. I think if something does happen to Captain America, he'll probably get arrested at the end of it. And he's not going to actually die because Chris Evans is signed on to do a third Avengers film. So not going to die, I don't think. He could get arrested, and that could actually lead to Bucky picking up the mantle and being the new Captain America, or Sam Wilson. You know, either one of the two. This book does collect the actual Captain America issues that tied into the Civil War event, and they do showcase more of Bucky, which I think was Ed Brubaker's plan to help get people get used to Bucky, so that, you know, when he picked up the sheet, became the new Captain America, it would make sense and people would be kind of used to it, or at least open to it. So yeah, really, obviously, since this is the death of Captain America, it's not really so much focused on Steve, but really Bucky's actions as he tries to be the new Captain America and also wield the shield in his own right. Because when he not only uses the shield, but Bucky also carries a gun with him as well as a knife and stuff, and he's very different than Steve, but he's able to get the job done. So if you want your first exposure to Bucky as Captain America, this is a good story. Also, from what I think, that might be the direction that they could put the Marvel Cinematic Universe's version of Bucky, in that general direction, having him be the next Captain America, if most likely Steve gets arrested at the end of the movie or captured or something. This is definitely something I recommend you pick up. The third story that I'm going to recommend that you check out is Civil War Spider-Man. These are pretty much the issues of Amazing Spider-Man that tied into Civil War, and they're collected into they're not only collected digitally but also in a trade paperback format. I have the digital version because at the time I was going to buy this, the trade paperback was out of print and extremely hard to find, and there was a sale going on in Comixology, so I just figured, why not? And basically the story is that these are all the issues of Amazing Spider-Man told over the course of pretty much tying into Civil War, and they're pretty much the events of the Civil War series told from Peter Parker's perspective as he's getting ready to publicly unmask himself, which is a big deal because ever since Spider-Man began, Peter has been very protective of his secret identity. There have been times where it's gotten out to some people, but he's always been able to cover it up or come up with some excuse in case someone thought he was Spider-Man. So now he's officially standing in front of tons of reporters saying, "I'm Peter Parker and I'm Spider-Man." and since Spider-Man is going to debut in the MCU version of Spider-Man is going to debut with this movie, it might be possible that Peter Parker unmasks himself. Because although it wasn't really Peter's decision alone, he was sort of encouraged by Iron Man, because at the time Peter was on the New Avengers, and also he had begun working with Tony Stark, and he was starting to kind of see Tony as a mentor. And so I think that's Tony's encouragement is really what ultimately had Peter unmask. Although eventually, again, spoiler alert, Peter does eventually switch sides when he starts to realize that the pro-registration side is doing some things that are questionably ethical. So he decides to switch to Captain America's side because he feels better about that. Okay, so yeah, honestly, if you like Spider-Man and you are excited for his entry into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I would definitely recommend you pick this up. I think the trade paperback is in stock on Amazon, or you can get the digital version. It doesn't matter. This is still a very fantastic Spider-Man story, and I think if you're going to read the Civil War miniseries, you should read this as well, just to give you just to give you the perspective of one particular hero who switched sides, so to speak, just to give you an understanding about what's really going on. And those are all my story recommendations for Captain America Civil War. What did you guys think? Did I leave anything out? What you guys recommend? Let me know in the comments below. Also, cannot wait for that movie to come out. If you like this video, stay tuned. Within the next 2 weeks, I should have another video up soon for X-Men Age of Apocalypse. So check that out when I upload it. Also, check out my video where I recommended stories for that you should read before seeing Batman v Superman. I'll put a link in the description. Again, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. I'm Spider-Man 1991 saying, see you later.